Hello and welcome. You're watching the Friday edition of This Is Exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not losing our focus on what's really happening in Manipur. On the one side, the government has been stressing upon the fact that talks are underway. Kukis and Meiteis are on the negotiating table. There's a possibility of a full-fledged agreement being drawn up between the Kukis and Meiteis. Is that the way forward? In fact, Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh has already spoken to Republic TV and says that he's not going to resign. But there is politics that is being played over this entire matter. Over the next 48 hours, ladies and gentlemen, what you're going to witness is opposition parties now landing up in Manipur. They say that the government is trying to brush it under the carpet. There are several incidents that have taken place and that the government has tried to cover up. That's what the opposition says. Tonight, over the next couple of minutes, we're going to take you through, one, the ground reports, and secondly, we'll also get you voices from Manipur to get you a sense of what's the situation and whether at all, as claims are now being made, is Manipur really limping back to normalcy? That's our focus on This Is Exclusive. But up first, these are the headlines we are tracking for you at this hour. After logjam in Parliament over Manipur, I.N.D.I.A delegation to go to Manipur tomorrow.
Opposition, I'm working for the people of the state, people of the nation. तो ये situation में मेरा priority है शांति लाना, so that my priority is to bring normalcy in the state at earliest.
In a big exclusive, Manipur Chief Minister says working to restore peace, no question of resigning. Sources suggest law panel won't extend deadline, report likely soon. India inches a step closer to UCC rollout. After stapled visa provocation by China, India sends a strong message. Wushu team boycotts FISU games. Ladies and gentlemen, on This Is Exclusive, for several months put together, we've put our focus on what's really happening on the ground. For over 85 days, there's been unabated violence. The fact of the matter is that, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a state which has witnessed one of the oldest insurgencies in South Asia. There are deep fault lines that exist. However, one would like to see it through some sort of a binary as far as this entire issue is concerned. But the fact of the matter is that for a long-lasting peace, how exactly will the government strike some sort of an understanding between the Kukis and Meiteis? As they say that the divide has only increased. The ethnic strife that was convulsed Manipur, at least a dozen lives have already been lost. What's important to point out here is that the government now insists that there is a framework that is put into place, an agreement that is being worked out between both sides, the Kukis and the Meiteis. The Meiteis which are in the valley area and the Kukis which are in the hills. The fact of the matter is that whether at all can that bridge be divided. What has happened in the last few days is that suddenly you've had the opposition members being up in arms after a video surfaced. Of course, the fact of the matter is that even before the video that surfaced, there have been reports of sexual assault. There have also been reports of unabated violence. The very fact that you've had militants opening fire, there have been a direct confrontation with the security forces. The situation had only worsened. But the government now assures that over the next couple of days, or perhaps in the couple of weeks, the situation is going to back to normalcy. In fact, it begins with an impartial investigation to be carried out by the Central Bureau of Investigation. Before we get you some breaking news, let's take a look at this interview done by my colleague Anirudh. He speaks to the Chief Minister of Manipur, the man who is in the eye of the storm. Opposition parties have been demanding that the Chief Minister of Manipur should resign. Should that be the case, given the fact that lives have been lost? And some say that perhaps Biren Singh's government has completely failed to control the situation. Will that really change? Manipur Chief Minister says that I do not work for the opposition parties, I work for the people of Manipur. Listen in to what the Chief Minister had to say.
Right now on this broadcast, I am joined by Chief Minister of Manipur and Biren Singh. The opposition is saying that Chief Minister and Biren Singh should resign. How would you like to react on this?
नहीं opposition तो बोलेंगे ही, लेकिन I'm not working for the opposition. I'm working for the people of the state, people of the nation. तो ये सिचुएशन में मेरा प्रायोरिटी है शांति लाना और रिकंसिलिएशन के लिए हम टीम बना के अभी आई एम सेंडिंग माय टीम्स टू कांटेक्ट विद our Kuki brothers and sisters. I am requesting to Naga brothers, neutrals, bodies to go and meet. I am sending my Meitei peoples, Meitei Pangal peoples, so that my priority is to bring normalcy in the state at earliest. That's all.
मणिपुर की जनता आपके साथ है.
Why not? Manipur is my state. All the people is with me. Even those Kukis, those Nagas, Meiteis, Meitei Pangal, whoever here, they are my people. I have to live with them. But whatever is happening is very unfortunate. It should not repeat again.
Who's creating these problems then?
No, I don't want to elaborate more. There's now commission has been formed, and they will reveal everything after the report.
Yesterday, Ministry of Home Affairs has said that the talks which both the groups from the Kuki side and the Meitei side are in advanced stage, and soon normalcy will return to the state. How do you see the developments that has been taking place? Because we are told that Prime Minister Modi is also reviewing the situation in Manipur very, very closely.
It is a good beginning, and I appreciate. I thank the Honorable PM, Honorable Union Home Minister. No, since the incident took place, the monitoring 24/7 from the PM office, Honorable Home Minister and the Honorable Union Home Minister stayed here 3 days continuously. So I think it is a good beginning, and normalcy should be restored.
We have spoken to Kokomi from the Meitei side. We have spoken to several organizations which are spearheading this protest against the government of Manipur, particularly in Churachandpur district and parts of Kangpokpi. Kokomi is adamant that the integrity of Manipur should not be compromised, and the people of Manipur will not tolerate it, including the Nagas. And in Churachandpur and Kangpokpi, they are saying that separation is only solution.
You see, that is not the voice of the Kokomi. That is the voice of the people, of the state. Nobody wants to destabilize or disintegrate the state of Manipur. And we government also for it. We will not allow any kind of separation and this. But we have to live together. But in Churachandpur, in Kangpokpi, few people are there who are extremely against the government, and they want to destabilize the state. But general public, normal Kuki, Paite, the Thadau, Wi-Fi, Ahmar, everyone want to live together. I hope we are together, and normalcy will be restored very soon. Thank you.
Today I was just...
Well, Ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the beginning of the show, that this is an issue which perhaps cannot be viewed in simple binaries. The fact that these fault lines did actually exist, the very fact that there was a relative calm that the state witnessed over a period of time. What really changed, starting from February when there was a crackdown by the government when it came to illegal poppy cultivation, and thereafter this entire fact that whether at all one community was being given more weightage than the other. There is one more aspect, ladies and gentlemen, which ought to be looked into. The very fact that you've had immigrants coming in from Myanmar, remember that long porous border, which remains a cause of concern. While many would say that are we trying to deviate from the issue, but that is a reality. On that note, let's take you through some breaking news now coming in. Now, in response to the ongoing unrest that is actually taking place, we're now given to understand that the government is taking some stern steps. India, in fact, has taken up this matter, and a significant step has been taken to address the issue of illegal immigration from Myanmar. Government sources have now told your channel that biometric data will be collected from anyone entering India from Myanmar, and they will be put on negative voter ID list. Now, let's try and explain this to you, helping us to understand and break it down for our viewers, because there are complexities issued as far as this issue is concerned. Let me also bring in our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, who's joining me on this story from the studios, getting us more details from his top sources within the government as to what exactly does this mean. Abhishek, just for the benefit of our viewers, we're talking about an issue where it is a porous border, number one. Second, in terms of the movement of Indians from India to Myanmar, Myanmar to India, it is part of an accord. How exactly is the government really trying to control the situation? Because many say that if you simply go by what the opposition parties are saying, that if you talk about illegal immigrants, you're only trying to digress from the core issue. What is it? How exactly should this be viewed?
Well, Sean, so it's not just a porous border, it's an open border, because there is a treaty which you were mentioning of 1968 which allows Myanmari citizens to come 40 kilometers into India and Indian citizens to go into Myanmar 16 kilometers without any documents. You don't need passport, visa, like it happens in the case of Nepal citizens and India citizens, so in the case of that border. Now the problem is that most of the population there is of chin cookies on the Myanmari side, and because post taking over power by the military junta in Myanmar, there was a rebellion that was going on, because of which a lot of influx of chin cookies has happened. Also, in the last couple of months, there has been an additional number of people from that side coming in, and it is believed that they have supported or played some role in the violence. And that's why the government has decided to carry on with start a process of biometrics. Basically, you identify these people who have come in from that side. So technically, they are not illegals, but they are actually making illegal entry. And if they are living here, their biometrics are done. And those biometrics are put on negative list for both Aadhaar and voter ID. So they can't get an Aadhaar card, they can't get a voter ID card, they can't claim any document which gives them any semblance of citizenship of India. And obviously at some stage they would have to go back. So that's a process that has been started, and the government believes that pending any review of the arrangement between India and Myanmar so far as the 1968 treaty is concerned, this has to be implemented with a lot of focus and attention. And that's what the sources in the Ministry of Home Affairs tell us, that this is being done as a measure to make sure that more troublemakers don't come in from this side or that side, and if there are any, they are sort of documented, and make sure that they are not participating in any manner in what's happening in Manipur.
Well, in fact, let me also, Abhishek, quickly go across to our colleague Anirudh, who's been camping in Imphal for quite some time. In fact, we've been covering this story for almost over 2 months now. Anirudh, just a quick response from you, especially in Moreh and a few other bordering areas. Now, this has been a sticky issue, what Abhishek has been speaking about. The moment you talk about illegal immigrants, there is a tendency, perhaps, to not being able to differentiate between them and the very fact that they're local inhabitants. And that's where the problem essentially lies. And the government finds itself on a very sticky wicket.
Yes, Awan and Abhishek, it's a very complicated when it comes to the Sinkuki migrants who particularly come from the neighboring country of Myanmar, because their lingua franca and the customs and the culture are very much similar to the Jokuki tribes who have been living in India since hundreds and hundreds of years. And that's the one aspect of the difficulty that the Indian forces or the governments actually face while detecting who is a Sinkuki, who is a Jokuki. And another thing that needs to be highlighted is that in the first phase of detection that was carried out by the government of Manipur very recently through a cabinet subcommittee, in the month of April that survey was conducted, and the report was with the government of Manipur by May, if I'm not wrong. And in that cabinet subcommittee report, the government of Manipur has confirmed that at least 2,000 illegal immigrants from neighboring country Myanmar have been detected from various places of Manipur, and they have not only set up their houses, but in some instances they have set up villages in Manipur. So this actually indicates how grave the situation is in the state of Manipur, which has been also facing a threat of illegal immigration from Myanmar. And given the situation that exists in Myanmar, very recently, on
in fact, we're getting in some more breaking news right now, Anirudh. Okay, Anirudh, I'm sorry to interrupt you because we're getting in some more breaking news right now. This is undoubtedly a big news now coming in. Let's put this out. India has now taken up this entire matter with Myanmar. Let's put those lines up. India has taken up the matter with Myanmar as far as the immigration issue is concerned. And also, let's talk about the fencing. So far, the fencing is around 10 kilometers of the Manipur-Mizoram border that has already been completed. Agencies who have taken up the projects have been instructed to complete the border fencing as soon as possible. So we're looking at two aspects. One, what is it that India has already spoken to Myanmar, whether at all there is some sort of an assistance that the government is really looking at, or perhaps there is a set of warnings that we are really looking at right now. All those aspects are extremely important because, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about an issue which has been a long-standing problem. And the fact of the matter is that for those who are really looking for an instant solution may not be the case. Let me once again bring in our senior executive editor who's been getting us more details. This is a big news. Getting a confirmation, Abhishek, that India has now taken up the matter with Myanmar. And I want to just stay with those lines on our screens. India has taken up the matter with Myanmar. Let's stay with those lines.
Yeah, Shawan, so this is in continuation with this understanding that has come to the government between the Manipur government and the central government that the coming in of Myanmarese nationals, the Chinkukis, is an issue which needs to be tackled. So internally, if you look at it, the MHA is taking care of this issue by way of biometrics, by way of profiling, by way of putting them in negative list for both Aadhaar and EPIC, which is the voter ID card about which we have mentioned the story we broke earlier. And the external element obviously goes through the Ministry of External Affairs, where the Indian side has to tell the Myanmaris, please do something about this. And that's something we are told has been communicated to the Myanmari side. And in fact, it's likely that this is not the end of it. And that's significant because there is a treaty of 1968. So obviously there have to be deliberations on that front. So whether there is to be some kind of review of that, both sides would sit and discuss. But at least as of now, sounding out to the Myanmari side has happened on the fact that they need to do something about this issue on their side of the border, which is having security implications for the Indian side, particularly the states of Manipur and Mizoram.
Well, thank you very much, Abhishek, for getting us the latest details. Two important aspects that we have covered. One, with regards to the fencing issue. We're now being told that the matter is going to be expedited because that remains a key concern. And secondly, with regards to talks that are already taking place, biometrics also being done, all those aspects which for a very long time there was very little focus. Now, that's all that we have with regards to our reportage coming in from Manipur. We'll also shift focus now to the national capital, ladies and gentlemen, where there has been a gruesome murder. Move on to this big story which we are tracking on this is exclusive, which is coming in from the national capital. A college student was killed in Delhi today after being attacked with a rod. Now, the incident took place at a park near Aurobindo College in Delhi's Malviya Nagar. Remember, this is a posh area where this incident has actually taken place. According to the police, Nargis is a student of Kamala Nehru College. She had come to the park with her distant cousin Irfan, who has now been arrested for allegedly murdering. In fact, let me just quickly go across to my colleague Piyush Ori, who's joining us from the national capital. In fact, he's also spoken to the victim's family. Let's go across to Piyush and just get you the latest updates as to what they are essentially doing. We'll try and go across to Piyush in just about a couple of seconds. What you see right now on your screen is the latest images now coming in. 25-year-old who has been arrested is what we are picking up with regards to this incident. Let's just quickly go across to my colleague Piyush, who's also going to be speaking to the family members. Piyush, take us through the details of the investigation that's been carried out so far.
Hello.
Piyush, if you can hear me, take us through the details that you're picking up, and if you can also speak to the family members.
So yes, Shaban, this is a very grim scene which is being reported over here, and I would just request my video journalist Vijay Surinder Shah to just show the images over here. In fact, the woman in the green sari is the one, that unfortunate female who is the mother of Nargis, who was murdered today cold-bloodedly by a person named as Irfan because he just could not take the no for answer for marriage. In fact, he was to marry Nargis, but because the family disapproved of the marriage, of him being unemployed and Nargis quite highly educated, they disapproved of the marriage, and this spurned him. And today, in the fit of rage, he first called him at Begumpur Park in Malviya Nagar and then hit her with rod, leading to the instant death. But you can see over here this very sad image of the mother of Nargis, identified as Noor Jahan. She is crying, and we have spoken to her also. We are going to again try speaking to her just to get a sense of the situation. And it's difficult for her to speak, but we'll just try.
इसको मौत मिलना चाहिए और कुछ नहीं चाहते हम बस इसको मौत। आप भी चाहेंगे कि मौत की सजा मिले? हाँ बिल्कुल, आज ही मौत होना चाहिए, साथी में मिट्टी लगना चाहिए दोनों की। जब इतना प्यार करता है तो साथी में मरना चाहिए उसको, मोहब्बत के साथ जाना चाहिए उसको। जब मोहब्बत करता है तो मोहब्बत के साथ जाना चाहिए उसको। कि मैं प्यार से जा रहा हूँ।
So yes, Shaban, you can see the situation over here, that there is a lot of anger, a lot of disappointment over here because a young girl who was pursuing BA honors in Hindi from the South Campus of Delhi University today was murdered in broad daylight by a spurned lover who just could not take a no for an answer for marriage. And of what we have also understood from the Delhi police officials was that he was also jealous because he had got rejection for the marriage. However, his brother was receiving marriage. So this jealousy in him led to this cold-blooded murder. But the very dramatic, very sad scenes that are being reported from here at Sangam Vihar, where Nargis used to stay. A young girl who had dreams in her eyes today, her life was cut short by a spurned lover, by a jilted lover who has been arrested, and one now demands over here that he should be punished as per the law. Back to you in the studio.
Well, I'll just take 30 seconds with you as we get these images now from Malviya Nagar, where the incident actually took place. In fact, my colleague is reporting from the residence of the victim, distraught family members. Just a quick response while we stay with the visuals. Let's just get a quick update as far as the investigation is concerned. Piyush, I just want you to stay with those visuals while you just take our viewers through the latest developments in terms of the investigation carried out so far.
So let me tell you, Shaban, that the Delhi police has arrested this guy called Irfan. He's a 28-year-old person. He was working as a delivery boy, so he has been arrested. And so far as what we have been told is that he has also confessed to his crime. In fact, the weapon, the rod from which he hit this woman Nargis that led to her death has also been recovered. So as far as the Delhi police is concerned, they feel that they have been able to crack this case. But yes, all the formalities in this case is now still undergoing. What we have been told is that the post-mortem of Nargis is still being undertaken at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So you could see that the father is right now at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, while the mother over here, Noor Jahan, who we had just had a word with, she is grieving over here at her residence in Sangam Vihar. So the latest from the ground is that the Delhi police has been able to apprehend the murderer, the reported murderer of Nargis, and the motive for which he murdered Nargis was because she rejected of the marriage proposal which this person identified as Irfan gave to her. Back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you very much, Piyush, for getting us the latest details, story that we'll be tracking very closely. That's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. On the other side, news and updates continue. Law panel won't extend the deadline. Report likely soon. India inches a step closer to UCC rollout.